$40 for a tin that weighs less than a deck of cards. Bright green powder sealed behind foil and wrapped in Japanese calligraphy. Millions of people buy it every month. The price keeps climbing, the tins keep shrinking, but the powder inside comes from a single common plant and 2 steps that have been written down for 500 years. And by the end of this video, you will know how to produce an unlimited supply of this powder from your own backyard without ever buying another tin again. And by the end of this video, you will know the plant, the process, and every detail they never wanted on your screen. Hi, I am Harry, and this is Garden Explained with Harry. Walk into any cafe in Brooklyn or Los Angeles or London right now. Look at the menu board. You will see this green powder listed at $6 or $7 per cup. Lattes, smoothies, ceremonial bowls whisked with bamboo. The packaging says stone ground. The labels say first harvest. The branding says imported from Kyoto. Every word on that tin is designed to make you feel like you are buying something rare, something ancient, something that only trained artisans in a single Japanese valley can produce. The global market for this powder reached $4.4 billion in 2023. Analysts project it will cross $10 billion by 2030. The wellness industry adopted it, the fitness industry adopted it, Instagram adopted it. Every morning routine video on the internet features a bright green cup sitting next to a journal and a candle. The price per gram now exceeds the price of silver in some retail stores, and almost nobody buying it has any idea what plant it comes from or how it is actually made. That gap between what consumers pay and what consumers know is not an accident. It is the business model. The plant is called Camellia sinensis. If that name sounds unfamiliar, it should not. Because Camellia sinensis is the single species that produces every type of tea on earth. Black tea, green tea, white tea, oolong, pu'er. The tea bag in your kitchen cabinet that costs $3 for a box of 20 comes from this plant. The $40 tin of bright green powder on the shelf at Whole Foods also comes from this plant. Same species, same genus, same leaves growing on the same kind of bush. The difference is not the plant. The difference is 2 steps applied after harvest. 2 steps that transform a commodity leaf into a luxury product with a 3,000% markup. And both of those steps can be done in a backyard with materials from any garden supply store. The first step is shade. 20 to 30 days before harvest, Japanese farmers cover their tea bushes. In the Uji district of Kyoto, they have done this since the 1500s using reed canopies built on bamboo frames. The traditional method is called oishita. A simpler version called kabuseicha uses cloth draped directly over the plants. Both methods do the same thing. They block sunlight. When you block sunlight from a tea plant, something remarkable happens inside the leaf. The plant panics. It begins overproducing chlorophyll to capture whatever light remains. Chlorophyll is what creates that vivid electric green color. Sun-grown tea leaves are dull and yellowish by comparison. The green powder in the $40 tin is green because someone put a tarp over the bush. That is the entire color secret. But the color is only the beginning. Camellia sinensis produces an amino acid called L-theanine in its roots. The roots send L-theanine up into the leaves through the stems. Under normal sunlight, the leaves convert L-theanine into catechins, which are bitter compounds. Block the sunlight and the conversion stops. The L-theanine accumulates. Shade-grown leaves contain up to 5 times more L-theanine than leaves grown in full sun. L-theanine is the compound responsible for the calm, focused feeling that people pay premium prices for. It is the reason wellness influencers call this powder a clean energy source. It is the reason cafes charge $7 per cup instead of $2. The entire experience that consumers associate with this product comes from blocking light for 3 weeks. Not from a secret cultivar, not from sacred Japanese soil, from shade cloth. You can buy 60% shade cloth at any garden center for less than $15. Drape it over a frame. Cover your tea bush for 20 to 25 days before you harvest. The L-theanine will accumulate. The chlorophyll will surge. The bitterness will drop. The sweet, savory taste called umami will develop. The exact same biochemical transformation that happens in the fields of uji will happen in your yard in Georgia or Oregon or southern England. The second step is grinding. After harvest, the shade-grown leaves are steamed briefly to stop oxidation. This is what keeps them green instead of turning brown into black tea. The stems and veins are removed by hand or by machine. What remains are flat, dried leaf pieces called tencha. Tencha is the raw material. It is the last stage before the powder. In Uji and in Nishio and in the other traditional producing regions of Japan, tencha is fed into granite stone mills called Aishi Usu. These mills are beautiful objects. Some of them are centuries old. They turn at 40 to 60 revolutions per minute, deliberately slow. The slow rotation prevents friction heat from damaging the chlorophyll and the amino acids. One mill produces about 40 grams of powder per hour. 40 grams per hour, that is 1 tin. One single $40 tin requires 1 full hour of grinding. The tea industry presents this as artisan craftsmanship. They photograph the stone mills in soft light. They describe the process as ancient and irreplaceable. They frame the slowness as sacred tradition. It is not sacred, it is a bottleneck. And the bottleneck is what protects the price. The grinding itself is not complex. The goal is to reduce dried leaf material to a fine powder between 5 and 20 microns in particle size. That is small enough to suspend in water when whisked, small enough to feel smooth on the tongue. Standard kitchen equipment cannot easily achieve this. Hand cranking a ceramic coffee burr grinder or using a mortar and pestle will only produce a gritty, coarse green tea powder. Achieving true matcha consistency requires a specialized granite mill or an industrial jet mill to pulverize the leaves down to micron levels without creating destructive heat. The granite is traditional. It is not required. The particle size is what matters, not the material of the grinding surface. So here is the complete picture. One common plant species grown across 2 continents, 3 weeks under shade cloth, a brief steaming, remove the stems, grind the leaves slowly. The result is bright green powder that froths when whisked, delivers 5 times the L-theanine of regular green tea, and tastes like the product sealed inside the $40 tin. Because it is the same product, same plant, same chemistry, different hands. Now consider what the industry does not want you to think about. The term ceremonial grade appears on the most expensive tins. Consumers assume this means something. They assume a governing body tested the powder and certified its quality. They assume ceremonial grade is a regulated standard enforced by inspectors. It is not. Ceremonial grade has no legal definition. No agricultural authority in Japan or anywhere else enforces it. No inspection process validates it. Any company on earth can print the word ceremonial grade on any tin of green powder and charge whatever price the label supports. It is a marketing phrase, not a quality standard. There is more. While Japan remains the gold standard for premium matcha, a significant portion of low-cost green tea powders sold globally are sourced from other major tea-producing nations like China. Unscrupulous brands may use deceptive marketing imagery, though strict international import laws do require accurate country of origin labeling on the back of the packaging. The branding says Kyoto. The supply chain says Zhejiang province. The consumer never learns the difference because the consumer never visits the farm. This is not conspiracy, this is economics. The markup from farm gate leaf to retail tin exceeds 3,000%. Raw tea leaf in Uji costs less than 2 cents per gram at the farm. The same leaf processed into powder retails at $1 to $1.50 per gram in a Western store. Branding accounts for that gap. Import logistics account for that gap. The granite mill photograph on the website accounts for that gap. The actual agricultural process does not. A single mature, healthy backyard Camellia sinensis bush can yield a generous harvest of fresh leaves, But because you only harvest the youngest tender tips and strip away the heavy veins and stems, it takes multiple productive bushes to yield a substantial amount of pure, finished powder. At current retail prices, that is $200 worth of product from one plant, every year, for decades. Some tea plants in Yunnan province in China have been producing leaves for over 1,000 years. The plant does not stop. It does not require replanting. It does not send you an invoice. You can grow this bush. Camellia sinensis is an evergreen shrub that thrives in USDA hardiness zones 7 through 9, with some cultivars surviving zone 6. That covers the entire southeastern United States, the Pacific Northwest, most of the United Kingdom, coastal Europe, and large sections of Australia and New Zealand. The plant wants acidic soil with a pH between 4.5 and 6. It wants moderate water. It wants partial shade during establishment and can handle full sun once mature. If you think tea only grows in Asia, consider Somerville, South Carolina. A commercial tea plantation operated there starting in the 1880s. American workers picked tea leaves on American soil and processed them into American tea. The operation lasted decades. The idea that this plant cannot grow outside of Japan is commercially convenient. It is not botanically accurate. Nurseries across the southern United States sell Camellia sinensis as an ornamental shrub. Some gardeners already have one growing in their yard and do not realize it produces tea. The plant has glossy dark green leaves, small white flowers in autumn. It looks like a camellia because it is a camellia. The ornamental camellias in your neighbor's garden are cousins of the bush that produces the $40 powder. Start from a nursery plant or a cutting, not from seed. Seed-grown plants take longer to establish and show more genetic variation. A cutting or a young plant from a nursery gives you a known cultivar with predictable leaf quality. Plant it in acidic, well-drained soil. Water regularly for the first 2 years. By year 3, you can begin harvesting. By year 4, the bush is established enough for shade growing. Build a simple frame over the bush from PVC pipe or bamboo. Drape 60 to 70% shade cloth over the frame. Cover the plant 20 to 25 days before your spring harvest. The youngest growth at the tips of each branch is what you want, the top 2 leaves and the bud on each stem. This is the standard plucking method used on every tea farm on the planet. Pinch and pull, drop them into a basket, steam the fresh leaves for 30 to 60 seconds. A kitchen steamer works. A colander over a pot of boiling water works. The steam halts the oxidation enzymes that would turn the green leaves brown. This is the only difference between green tea and black tea. One gets steamed, the other does not. Same plant, same leaf. One step, spread the steamed leaves flat on a drying rack. Remove the stems and the thick central veins. Dry them completely. What you are holding now is tencha, the same tencha that feeds into the granite mills of Uji, the same tencha that gets sealed into $40 tins with Japanese calligraphy on the label. Except yours came from your backyard and cost you nothing beyond patience. Grind the dried tencha in a stone burr mill or a ceramic hand grinder. Grind slowly. Do not rush. Heat degrades the chlorophyll and the amino acids. A hand grinder turning at a steady pace produces the same result as a granite ishi usu turning at 40 revolutions per minute. The powder should be fine enough to suspend in water when you whisk it. Bright green, smooth, fragrant. This is the product. This has always been the product. The tea industry will not tell you any of this. The wellness brands will not tell you. The cafes charging $7 per cup will not tell you. The information does not serve their price point. A process that anyone can replicate cannot sustain a $4.4 billion market built on mystique. A plant that grows in your yard cannot justify a 3,000% markup. A grinding method achievable with a $40 hand mill cannot coexist with the narrative of irreplaceable ancient craftsmanship. But the plant does not care about narratives. It does not care about branding or ceremonial grade labels or Japanese calligraphy on foil packaging. Camellia sinensis cares about growing. It has grown on mountainsides in Yunnan for longer than any tea company has existed. It grew in the gardens of Buddhist monks who carried it to Japan in the 1100s. It grew in Somerville, South Carolina when nobody was paying attention. It will grow in your yard the same way it grew in Uji, the same way it grew before anyone thought to put it in a tin and charge $40. What cannot be controlled cannot be monopolized. What cannot be monopolized cannot sustain a luxury price. What cannot sustain a luxury price does not get marketed. And what does not get marketed does not enter your consciousness. That is why you never knew. Not because the knowledge was hidden, because no one profited from giving it to you. The plant is still growing. It has been growing for 1,000 years. It will keep going whether you buy the tin or not.